Thatcher. Hi and hello from Retail OCD on the Road, our special segment where my partner DeAnn Campbell and I go out to the same retailer in different locations and capture some images and videos and tell you about what we see, good and bad, and that's what we're here for today. So today's subject is Marshalls, one of my favorites. I'm sure we've all been to a Marshalls, a Loman's, a TJX, what have you, but today it's Marshalls.
Yes, I love Marshalls, really. I think it's becoming an important destination. TJ Maxx, part of the TJX group of stores.
Absolutely. Up in Massachusetts is their headquarters. Used to drive by it on a regular basis.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
No, Marshalls is a mainstay. They've grown nicely. I think they've evolved over the last, even just in the last year and few months, in terms of upgrading what the customer experience is, walking into the store and being able to locate product and with signage. And I think that sort of was my experience walking in, having a local Marshalls in downtown New York that I go into on a regular basis. And I've seen that particular location change in the last 6 months, where they've really done a better job of allowing consumers to find the products, to keep the shelves clean and orderly. There's greeting videos when you come in.
We're looking right now at, I think, the store you visited in New York City.
Yes.
And this is beautiful, really. This is the entrance as you walk in.
Yes, it's a little unusual because it's near the Oculus, which is by Ground Zero, as it were. And it's in a sub-basement. So you walk in on a main level, and then you take an escalator down. But as soon as you walk in, you're seeing videos and signage that is connecting you to the brand. And they're even utilizing the mid-level mezzanine of escalator, again, where there is no product, to recruit staffing, even, where they're presenting what it's like to work as an associate on one of those large screens. And then you go further down and you enter right into what used to be something else is now a beautiful beauty department, very well clean and organized.
I love this. The signage is incredible, really. And I saw the same thing at my store, but they've done such a beautiful job. This is the cleanest beauty department I think I've ever seen.
And also what's interesting, and I don't know if I captured a photo of this, but if you go down that aisle and you make a left, there's an alcove, and it's perhaps 10 by 18, and it's where their clearance items are. And so it's not in direct eye shot of their, quote, regularly priced discount product.
Well, this image here on the right does have clearance signs on it. Is this a go-to brands can't miss savings? Is that
Yes, that's the clearance alcove.
That is the most well-organized clearance shelving I've seen. Everything is beautifully arranged. Nothing's out of order. Nothing is fallen over. I think this is so well done.
Yeah, and it brings you through the entire, not the entire, most of the beauty department, personal care department. So there is a travel that you have to do through main items, and then you have your treasure hunt at the end. To your point about the signage, I think you can speak to some of what's happening in signage, but I think that they are on the cutting edge of what's going to be digital shelf labels, perhaps, but certainly their large signage is being used well. So,
yeah, I even like their fixtures.
So to my left, there would be the escalator down. So you're coming into a sign that says good stuff, and is all the beauty and nicely done end caps as well, as you can see.
And something I absolutely love, and so few retailers do, a stack of baskets at the back of the store, not just at the entrance.
Exactly. Because sometimes, this is, again, let's get to human behavior. You come in looking for one thing and you pick it up, and then all of a sudden you need another. But you didn't think of that when you first entered the store where the baskets were. So it is important to distribute them, because I don't want to hold 6 items in my arm and then have to walk to the front. So facilitating, making it easy.
Research shows that if you add a basket at the back of the store, if you give someone a basket, it increases your average sales up to 15%, just
I
because you
love
give
that.
them the capacity to buy more.
Eh, yeah, don't put friction. Don't make it hard. Don't make me carry 6 items.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
to the wayfinding idea of putting the items that people typically go in for towards the back of the store in terms of treasure hunting. They're always going to go to the clearance area,
Yeah.
typically, to find that special deal, special item, and to bring them through other main priced areas is great.
And I hear so many retailers saying the challenge is we have to collect the baskets and take them back there, and it's inconvenient and it costs us money to just have staff do that. You have to do the math. Think about the number of people adding 10 to 15% to their basket size, their sales, versus the cost of a couple of hours of staff to bring those baskets to the back of the store. I visited a store in Atlanta, and I had a different experience. It too is a relatively new store, not as new as yours, but it is in a newer neighborhood. It's probably about 5 years since its last renovation. One of the things that I really liked is every time I walk in this store, somebody has set up a different diorama at the entrance. And so they're always changing this little arrangement that you see at the front entrance. And it's always well thought through. So obviously back to school, this is thoughtful of gaming, schools, office, anything to do with going back to school or getting back to business. I thought that was smart. And so that's something they do well. On the other hand, something that they're going to need to think about is their beauty department. And it's really a mess. They have a hair care section where they have a lot of blow dryers, curling irons, flat irons, things like that. These are expensive items. I looked at the price tag. Some of these things went for $400. And in this current economy, a lot of wealthier people are trading down. They're now not going to some of the more high-end locations, Sephora's and Ulta's, to pay the premium price for these products. They're looking for deals. And this is a perfect opportunity for Marshall's, TJ Maxx, these locations to start to bring a little organization and style to these departments, to maybe make these items look a little more attractive, a little more thoughtful, and start to draw these people into the store specifically to buy these higher end tools, because these are going to be higher margin products for Marshalls and TJ Maxx.
Absolutely.
And nobody's going to want to shovel through this mess to find what they want.
I wonder if because the location, and I would assume our demographics of the stores, even the ones in New York and ones in North Atlanta, are still somewhat similar. I wonder about the real estate available and the square footage available to do proper merchandising. I also then wonder about how is a company operating their divisions differently, their north and their south? Who's the management team that's keeping an eye on the shelf?
Right. And carrying that thought through, this image on the left is the continuation of the beauty department. And I understand the concept of a treasure hunt, and it's wonderful, but there's a fine line between treasure hunt and pain and suffering, digging through layers of.
You're just totally overwhelmed by the mess.
Yes, and your brain does shut down when you see something that is just too much trouble to look through. And so there aren't a lot of staff in these stores, but there are enough that they could try to think up a different system to bring a little bit better order, to keep all of this mess from being just thrown in a big pile at the bottom. So it's hard. I know it's tough. I understand why it happens. They get too much product coming in. They don't have room for it to hang. Too much of it gets put on the rod, so it falls off, and customers look at it and they don't bother to put it back because it's hard to put back. And it just ends up in a big mess at the bottom. And it's a little overwhelming, but something has to be done. And the other thing that surprised me is they're so thoughtful in other areas, but then they have hats and scarves and purses but not a single mirror anywhere near this area.
Oh, so interesting. And it looks so easy to fix because it looks like on the left side of that photo, there's a wall that they,
There's a wall, and I had to go quite a ways away to find a mirror. And so a lot of people are just not going to want to do that, I
friction.
think. So just little touches. But then at the same time, this same store has chairs for sale that they're very good about arranging them in a way that you can sit on them and test them. And they put a table beside them so you can see what they're going to look like on your front porch. And then they have arrangements of products that are all in similar color categories. So they look really impactful together. Everything's all pink, shades of pink. So it looks really good together. So that same company that doesn't have a mirror near hats and scarves does something like this. It's really interesting to me that, and obviously different teams, but these teams need to start talking to each other because they have the skill. They need to apply it consistently across the store.
And there are, and I'm sure they must have one or another kind as they're evolving, a platform where store managers, merchandisers can upload real-time photos of departments and merchandising seasonal changes so that there's compliance and consistency on that. And,
Right.
and it comes down to people supported by the technology to make sure that bag merchandiser, buyer, store manager who's responsible for those accessories areas has the same expectation as the furniture seasonal buyer.
Absolutely. And then to your point about the signage that you showed earlier, they have great signage. They have new routines don't cost a lot. I was really taken with that concept. Not many retailers point that out and talk about new routines. And I think that's an important concept to mention to a shopper. You can start a new routine,
Wow.
but they've hung it so high on a small sign way on up. Nobody's going to see it.
That's really interesting. That to me that's a very deep statement.
It is. It
From
is.
a retailer. And in fact, my first instinct as you were speaking about it was that also belongs in the back of the house.
It does. And make it a big sign. Like you said, it's deep, it's important. And but it's invisible in this store. And the other one is really good clearance. Everybody else just says clearance, but this is a really good clearance. I love that. It's fun. But it's lost in this sea of red clearance signs on every fixture within.
Like CVS yellow tags on 60% of their shelves.
Yes, everywhere. And so whoever's creating this signage is a genius. They're just having fun and they're really tapping into something real and honest and authentic that needs to be visible.
In the zeitgeist, as it were.
Exactly. And I was so impressed with Marshall's, and I'd love to see it really played up, but it's getting lost in just stupidity, needless stupidity. And the last thing is another two things. One is the dressing room sign. I loved it because it's so reassuring when you're looking at clothing and you know where the dressing rooms are.
You don't have to hunt for it.
You know they have dressing rooms for one thing. Looking at this beautiful presentation, it gives you the sense that the dressing room experience is going to be a good one. And so even if you don't use the dressing room, it puts you at ease and it gives you the confidence to start looking for clothing. And you may or may not try something on, but it makes you want to look and it makes you feel good about the experience. And I thought this was well done. But at the same time, please, for the love of God, put a garbage can at the back of your store so that people don't pile their garbage on shelves.
Oh my, yeah. Oh, that's horrible. That's bad. I won't say I haven't done it before.
Well, everybody does. And
but yeah.
Nobody, it's one of my pet peeves. So I just thought I'd stick that in there as a little
Again, hospitality moment coming from keep your aisles clean. And you have said before that one of the primary factors of satisfaction at the dollar stores is the fact that it's clean. It's not just price, it's keep it clean, keep it organized. But no, and I think the checkout, for me, my big takeaway on some level is also the physical experience of checkout. So as you're taking your cart down the checkout lanes where they have impulse items, I think it's a great place for, and I think this store in particular, to your point of keeping it clean and merchandised well, that runway had every single product category in the store represented. So there was pet, and there was great signage up at checkout. So she was very nice. And that was the other thing. The greeting was also very nice, which is really important to me. I make it a point of offering that and smiling, but their staff was very good there. Again, I call it a AA location for Marshalls, but the fact that the aisles leading up, again, were so well merchandised. The point of sale had, again, impulse items at the checkout. And we've said it's not self-checkout anymore in other locations. It's just checkout. And this doesn't have self-checkout, but they have all the impulse items right up to the time you leave. Clear signage down the aisle on the way out. Thank you for shopping. It's just...
I think they do such a good job. I love the fact that they have big screens now, so you can, even at the back of the line, you know what's happening. And I think that's one of the most important things. There's a big difference when you're waiting before you're served and after you're served. If a shopper knows where they stand in the queue and what's going on, then it's so much more reassuring, and they just relax. Okay, I know people are being served. I know there's no holdup. I just need to be patient and wait my turn, and I'm okay with that. But if they wonder what's going on, I haven't moved in 5 minutes, what's happening, what's going on, they start to get really agitated and they start to get angry. So if they can just see that somebody has a lot of things to buy, things are still moving normally, that's fine. Information is all a shopper needs. And all of these digital screens up front give them that information. And I think when Marshalls installed those big screens, who's next, what's happening, even a big giant camera, I know it's a security camera and it shows the people in line, but it also gives the people in line a knowledge and understanding of what's happening at the checkouts and with everybody else. And again, you know, the line is moving normally, you know, the checkouts are moving normally, you know, nobody's holding anything up. So you're feeling much more comfortable.
Yeah, my thought as you're speaking of that goes to being online at the airport and waiting to go through TSA and not knowing how many minutes it's going to be to get through that security line to get to my gate, make my plan.
Yeah. I do think it's time that Marshalls and maybe even TJ Maxx in general started thinking about the next step in technology. And you and I have talked about this, is electronic shelf labels. Exploring electronic shelf labels is part of their operating system to try to connect them closer to their manufacturers, to their distribution, not necessarily for every category. I know they move their clothing around quite a bit, and products are tough because those are moving around a lot. But there are some categories like furniture, like housewares, perhaps, where electronic shelf labels might help them get some control over some of that mess, help them change pricing as things start selling through, or reduce pricing without having to manually re-tag everything. There's an awful lot of labor that happens every week as prices go down in Marshalls. And so some of that could be automated a little bit. And I think it might be time to start looking at how much trouble that would be and start integrating that into their system.
I think Marshalls, of all the retailers of its kind, is the most progressive at this point in terms of their signage, both printed and digital, as you said, and the checkout experience being one where you can even take the cart, turn it around, and go back out without feeling like you're a pariah because you forgot your whatever it was.
Not making everybody back up.
So I think that they're more likely to begin to use their large signage first on seasonal pricing promotions for specific brands as a retail media play, perhaps. But you're right. They, as others, everybody should be beginning to experiment with ESL because it's such a time saver, an efficiency tool, an accuracy tool, a compliance tool.
I know it's not the same experience that it used to be, where you used to really be able to get name brands that hadn't sold and they were discounted in that store. You can still get that to some limited degree.
They seem to be punching above their weight within the company.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Yeah. As we've seen the evolution of the closeout, like Century 21 evolve into the stores where they are designing product for them in the outlet malls, to the upgrade of the Marshalls.
Well, between TJ Maxx and Marshalls, they account for 60% of the TJX's total sales. So they are the company's biggest driver, revenue driver. Okay, that was fun. So yeah, and if anybody has a store they want us to visit, let us know.
So if anybody has any ideas, we're up to go shopping.
That's great. Yeah, let us know where to go and make it a good one, though.
That's right.
Maybe something with a bar in it.
Hey, now, there we go. You can compare and contrast.
All right.
All right.
See you next time.